It's Friday, March 20. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. The Health and Wellness Ministry is reporting that Jamaica now has 16 confirmed cases of the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. The latest case is a 57-year-old male with a travel history to New York. He arrived in the island on March 10 and visited his private physician on March 16. He reported having had symptoms for 6 days. The necessary contact tracing is now being done. Jamaica now has 16 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 11 of them due to direct travelers and 5 related to the first confirmed case. The government of Jamaica has issued a second community quarantine order, this time for the Corn Peace settlement in Clarendon. The imposition of the order was announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness as he made his contribution to the 2020-2021 budget debate in Parliament on Thursday. Our reporter Marlon Samuels was in Parliament and filed this report.
At this time, we are unsure of the number of persons in the community that have been so exposed and require that the community and the family comply with the quarantine order to conduct the necessary contact tracing and investigations. The uncooperativeness of the family members and reluctance to adhere to quarantine orders signals the need for escalation to enforcement of the order by the security forces. In collaboration with the health authorities, the Director General ODPEM has given the following directions to regulate the movement of persons, animals, and vehicles into and out of and within the Corn Peace community, effectively placing the community under quarantine for the next 14 days to allow for the public health investigations to be completed.
The announcement comes in the wake of the death of a 79-year-old man with a travel history from New York and who was confirmed to have the COVID-19 virus on March 18. Since his death, also on March 18, members of his family who reside in Corn Peace have refused to comply with requests of the public health team on the ground to remain at home. The PM, who expressed his sympathy for the family of the deceased man, was quick to add that quarantine was not a sentence.
I'm appealing to all Jamaicans. We are not sentencing anybody. We are not taking away your liberty. You're not going to be abused. But this is for your own benefit. And what I will say is that for this family, they have lost their loved one. They are grieving. We sympathize with them. But can you imagine how many other grandfathers and grandmothers are now going to be exposed because of a weak fence behavior that let out the virus? Mr. Speaker, I am appealing to all Jamaicans. All Jamaicans, you have to play your part. We have already had our first death.
The boundary for the quarantine runs from its starting point along the private railroad track that is located to the east of the community, then heads in a southerly direction for approximately 230 meters. It continues in a southwesterly direction to a point just south of the Corn Peace settlement community, along the gullyway, and then in a northerly direction along another gullyway for a distance of approximately 530 meters to a point west of the three-way junction leading into the Corn Peace community. It then runs in an easterly direction and terminates at the start point at the private railroad track. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
The 7-mile and 8-mile community in Bull Bay is another community placed under quarantine in relation to COVID-19. The quarantine was placed last week by the government. Patient 1 had attended a funeral in the community, prompting the order. Our news team spoke to several residents within the community.
Enough residents up here don't get any food. And them quarantine too. So what we are going to do? Them have to put something in place so everybody can get a food. But and another thing again, you have 3 and 4 houses in a 1 yard and a 3 kitchen in there. You understand? You have to take people from the community to know it. For like people like Uno for come in with it, and somebody from out of the community will know say a 3 kitchen in the yard and a 2 kitchen and a 1 kitchen there. So it will run smooth. But if some get and some not get it, will cost war. Because it cost war yesterday. It cost war up the road yesterday. You understand? And the people them we say they not forget no food. Them can't walk free like everybody. Because one community.
We're working closely with the Ministry of Labour, Social Security, and with other donor agencies to beef up the number of supplies, and I think we'll solve that problem. And as you can see, many of them put up their hands. A lot of them have gotten already. But we understand, I mean, you know, things finish and you need more and that sort of thing. And as the day progresses, the days, people who work and earn daily will run out of resources. So that's very understandable for a community such as this. And therefore, we have to respond to the needs more so the longer the period, as the period progresses. And that's what we're doing. So I think we're on our way.
Currently the configuration, we have 7 public health nurses, senior officers, 7 public health inspectors, 1 health education officer, 40 community health aid, and they're actually doing house-to-house surveillance and temperature check for every single person. And every day we have been in the community from Saturday doing that sort of work. I am Nurse Shettlewood, Senior Public Health Nurse, KC Health Department.
So the point I'm making is that we have our people on the ground and they're doing the work, and we have interviewed many persons. We just need now, as the day progresses, the days, 14 days, so by the time you reach, we get 5, 6 and go on, persons who would earn on a daily basis and depend on their daily earnings but can't earn will have a difficulty, and I fully appreciate that, which is why we start at a particular level of distribution. We have to ramp up the distribution as you move.
The World Bank Thursday approved $70 million in budget support for financing to Jamaica to support the country's reform program and efforts to strengthen and accelerate recent gains in fiscal consolidation and sustainable growth. The World Bank said the first Economic Resilience Development Policy loan aims to help Jamaica advance its economic reform agenda, while at the same time protecting the poor and vulnerable, including from natural disaster risks. The World Bank's resident representative to Jamaica said, quote, Jamaica's authorities have shown the commitment needed to maintain macroeconomic stability and demonstrated significant progress, including major reduction in public debt. These efforts will continue to strengthening the country's capacity to cope with the threats of natural disasters and public health crisis. End quote. The operation is designed around the 3 interrelated pillars to address the most important economic challenges Jamaica faces: strengthening fiscal sustainability and inclusion, enhancing fiscal and finance resilience against climate and natural disaster risks, and improving the investment climate for sustainable growth. The loan has a maturity of 24 years and a grace period of 6 years. The Constituency Development Fund allocation for members of Parliament is to be beefed up from $20 million to $22 million per parliamentarian in the new fiscal year to allow them to make interventions related to the novel coronavirus disease in their constituencies.
Members of Parliament are on the front line of response to natural disasters. Oftentimes, the elected representative is the first to be called and the first to be on spot. I expect this crisis will be no different. To this end, the government will make an additional allocation of $2 million per constituency to be used exclusively for COVID-19 related interventions. The details on project qualifications and availability of funds will be explained by letter to each MP.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement in his budget presentation in the House of Representatives on Thursday. He stressed that the funds are to be used exclusively for COVID-19 interventions. The National Housing Trust, NHT, is moving to beef up relief to mortgagors caught in the financial backlash from the novel coronavirus disease pandemic. Speaking in Parliament on Thursday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the measures will ensure the social protection of its mortgagors and contributors and safeguard persons from losing their homes while improving their disposable income.
We have put in place special relief for mortgagors who may lose their jobs as a result of the COVID-19 epidemic. Effective immediately, mortgagors who are laid off can apply for a moratorium on all loan payments for 3 months in the first instance.
He, however, noted that this option will only be made available where the trust has not already entered into a commitment to dispose of property. In the meantime, he said mortgagors may also take advantage of the intergenerational loan facility in their rescheduling arrangements. He said there will also be a special one-off offer to reschedule loans in arrears.
Mortgagors are therefore encouraged to take advantage of this opportunity, which will be extended for 6 months effective April 1, 2020. During this period, the NHT will consider each mortgage on a case-by-case basis with the option to extend the tenor of the loan, reduce the interest rate, or some combination thereof. Mortgagors may also take advantage of the intergenerational loan facility in their rescheduling arrangements.
Mr. Holness also said legislative amendments are being proposed for the formalization of lands, community, by way of new adjudication procedure. The House of Representatives has appointed a special select committee to continually review developments related to the current COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. The committee, which will be chaired by the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, will also include Attorney General Marlene Malahoo Ford, Dr. Norman Dunn, Juliet Holness, and Marissa Dalrymple Filbert of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, and Dr. Morris Guy, Mark Golding, Horace Daly, and Angela Brown Burke of the opposition People's National Party. Leader of the House, Carl Samuda, said that the committee can be empowered to hold virtual meetings utilizing available information in communications technology. The committee was approved on Thursday. Effective Friday, March 20, all outbound mail items destined to 17 countries, with the exception of fast-track shipments, will be suspended until further notice due to the effects of the novel coronavirus. According to the Post and Telecommunications Department, PTD, this now brings the total to 18 countries to experience a disruption with outbound mail items from Jamaica Post stemming from the global pandemic. The affected countries include Cayman Islands, Honduras, Libya, Tunisia, French Polynesia, Kuwait, Sri Lanka, Latvia, Moldova, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, and Peru. The PTD said it is now able to send mail items to Hong Kong effective Friday. The department said all mail items posted as of Monday, March 16 to Thursday, March 19, destined for the noted countries, with the exception of fast-track packages, are to be collected by the respective senders via the originating post office. Customers may claim a refund for postage paid. Over 30 communities in the Upper Rio Minno watershed area in Clarendon are in the process of receiving 250 rainwater systems to help boost their response to drought and ensure greater water security in the area. The rainwater systems will mainly distribute to schools, clinics, churches, and other essential facilities that serve the communities. The systems are being provided by the Adoption Program and Financing Mechanism for the Pilot Program for Climate Change Resilience. It is part of a set of activities that the AP and FM is implementing in the URMW to preserve the watershed, which is responsible for 40% of the water supply in the parishes of Middlesex. In a release, project manager for the AP and FM, Dr. Winsome Townsend, said, quote, "The need for the communal rainwater systems was identified through the consultative process a few years ago when Jamaica's strategic program for climate resilience was being developed. It was among a set of measures recommended to halt the decline of the URMW area." End quote. The Accountant General's Department, AGD, says its offices will be closed to the public until further notice as part of measures to contain the risk of transmission for the coronavirus COVID-19. Director of Communication and Customer Service at the AGD, Tanisha Ware-Grant, said that during this period, the AGD can be contacted via email or social media platforms. Persons can email info@treasury.gov.jm. Send messages on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook also at thetreasuryja.com. WhatsApp text only at 1-876-818-6583 or live chat at www.treasury.gov.jm. While the country continues to combat the spread of COVID-19, we're reminding you to take the following steps as part of efforts to stay safe. Wash your hands often and do it properly. Start by wetting your hands with water. Apply enough soap to cover all hand surfaces. Rub hands palm to palm. Right palm over left dorsum with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Backs of fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotational rubbing of left thumb clasped in right palm and vice versa. Rotational rubbing backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of right hand in left palm and vice versa. Then rinse hands with water. Dry your hands thoroughly with a single-use towel. Use towel to turn off faucet. And your hands are safe. The US dollar is being traded at $136.14, down by 40 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar is being traded at $95.99, up from $95.42, while the British pound sterling is being traded at $160.59, down from $164.35. In regional news, the Bahamas government on Thursday announced an 8-hour curfew, while businesses, with limited exceptions, have been called upon to suspend their operations for an 11-day period as the country rolled out more measures to deal with the coronavirus COVID-19. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis told a news conference that the new orders, which go into effect from Friday, are designed to save lives. The move comes less than 24 hours after Governor General Cornelius Smith issued the proclamation of emergency, giving Minnis' administration the necessary emergency powers to aggressively combat the COVID-19 emergency. Minnis told reporters that the curfew will be imposed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. local time each night, with exceptions approved by the Commissioner of Police. Businesses that are exempt will only be allowed to operate between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m., and banks will be allowed to remain open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley on Thursday hosted a press conference where she provided an update on the nation's response to COVID-19.
We are in a good shape to be able to start to face this. What is necessary in accepting that large numbers of Barbadians will get it is for us to remember that when we last met on Monday, I advised that those persons over the age of 70 really need to listen to our advice and to stay home as much as possible. I want to repeat it because the vulnerable population is where our concern is. I would like to think that I'm strong and able-bodied, so I'm good, and the majority of us in this room. But we do know that persons over the age of 70 and persons who have underlying conditions, particularly asthmatics, particularly people who are bad diabetics, people who have cardiovascular problems that are of serious concern to their doctors, people who have chronic respiratory disorder. These are the persons who we would wish to consult with your doctor and to have your doctor advise whether you ought to also consider staying at home as part of the vulnerable population. If your doctor tells you yes, then I suggest that you get the letter from your doctor and that you share it with your employer if you're working.
A Prime Minister urged the public to remain calm.
I want to say to you that that large number, the overwhelming majority will only have mild symptoms. And in many instances, I'm told by the doctors that those mild symptoms will not even present themselves as something that people may even go to the doctor for. There will be a few who will require medical treatment and medical advice. And there will even be a smaller number who may require to be placed into an isolation facility and to have the full serious medical treatment that goes with that primary care isolation facility that we're developing.
Trinidad and Tobago now has 9 cases of COVID-19. The government says all the cases are imported. It is reported that 2 of the cases were from a cruise ship. The media is reporting that the individuals tested positive while they were on their way back home to Trinidad and Tobago and were immediately taken to quarantine hospitals when they arrived at the Piarco International Airport on Tuesday night. Hema Ramkisoon, deputy head of news at CNC3, said another 68 nationals aboard the cruise ship are in quarantine under observation. Another 18 nationals who returned from the UK on a Virgin Atlantic flight that landed in Tobago Wednesday afternoon have also been quarantined for 14 days. On Wednesday, Guyana confirmed its 5th case of the novel coronavirus. The 5th person, like the other cases, are all related to the first case, confirmed on March 11th. Minister of Public Health, Valda Lawrence, gave an update.
We have since, as of today, confirmed 4 additional cases, all family members of the index case, bringing our statistics to 5 confirmed cases, inclusive of 1 death. We are in the process of contact tracing and quarantining the close contacts. Thankfully, our health personnel are working assiduously to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to keep the numbers down.
In sports, Dean of the Faculty of Sport in the University of the West Indies Mona campus, Dr. Akashai Mansingh, says the uncertainty surrounding the Olympic Games can cause more harm than good for athletes. Earlier this week, the International Olympic Committee urged athletes to continue their preparation for the July 24 and August 9 Games. But with the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, there has been a pushback from athletes whose preparation have been affected by restrictions in affected countries. Mansingh says this could have a psychological effect on athletes. He's warning athletes not to compromise their health in a bid to be ready for the Olympic Games. And in football, General Manager of the Premier League Clubs Association, Pat Gayle, says the body will be meeting in the coming days to discuss the status of the league. Technical Director of Cavalier Football Club, Rudolph Speed, wants Red Stripe Premier League to be suspended for the rest of the season. Speed says with the growing spread of COVID-19 on the island, it could be difficult to have any matches between now and the end of April. We go over to cricket. All players, including Gayle, are under consideration to be part of the West Indies squad to play in the men's T20 World Cup in Australia later this year. We get more in this Newsroom Guyana story.
According to Philo Wallace, there's no room for Christopher Gayle in terms of the T20. Of course, you know, you got the T20 World Cup coming up a little bit later on in the year. And Philo Wallace is saying he wouldn't pick him. Do you have Gayle as a part of your plan going forward?
I think all available players are part of our plan at this point. We haven't really, at this point, we're still trying to find out what's our best combination, what the best composition of the team will be, and seeking opportunities, you know, to determine that. And, but come, you know, the run-up to the last month or so prior to that World Cup, we have to try and really narrow it down so the players can all get used to playing together, you know, and understand, you know, how each other performs when and in different situations, and each person will understand exactly what their roles are and how to go about it. But at this point, as I said, Andrew, everyone that's available will be considered.
You're saying withdrawn. Roger, do you think that the opportunities between here and the T20 World Cup allow for players that haven't been in the functional group to prove themselves worthy of being in the squad?
Well, every day is an opportunity to prove yourself. You know, certainly there are lots of opportunities around, and there are lots of competitions around, not just you know, representing the West Indies, but there are opportunities around where guys can showcase their skill and what they're capable of and the sort of form they're in.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching, and do remember to keep safe.